All right, looks great. So I went ahead and I finished half the hood on Project Focus using the Rotary polisher. And again, this is my tool of choice for the compounding step because it's so fast. If you respect this tool, it'll respect you. So quick recap, don't leave it in one space for too long. Be very mindful of raised body edges. And also, you don't have to keep the pad flat. With this machine, if you keep it slightly lifted up on one side, it makes it much easier to use. So that's the first step. And with this type of tool, it will leave holograms in the paint, and with the wool pad, it'll leave swirl marks in the paint as well. So I'm going to use my light, which you'll be able to see here. It's not that the machine did anything wrong or that the compound was insufficient in any way. It's just the action of the machine plus the type of pad that was on the tool. So to remove the holograms and to polish to a really high gloss, I'm going to use a dual action polisher. So the rotary spins in one direction. The dual action machine, it rotates and it oscillates. And what makes this tool unique is that it's a gear-driven dual action polisher. So unlike other polishers of this type that are a free spinning design where you can just go like this in the pad and there's no tension on it, this machine is gear-driven. And what that means is that this pad will never stop rotating. And that gives you an advantage because when you're polishing your paint, if the pad's not rotating, then, well, frankly, nothing's happening. So you want that pad rotating. So what this step will do is it's going to refine the surface, remove the swirl marks, remove any holograms, and really maximize the gloss. So for this, I'm using a foam pad. And again, it's really important that your pad is centered on your backing plate. And this is a foam polishing pad. Pads come in different levels of cut. This is a heavy polishing pad. And the reason I'm using a heavy polishing pad is because I have some defects left by the wool pad on the rotary machine that I need to pull out. So I have my pad centered, and I'm going to grab my finishing polish and use a high quality finishing polish. I like to use products that are VOC friendly, wipe off easily, they don't smear, they don't leave their own paint defects. That's really important. So like anything else, you get what you pay for when you buy a compound or a polish. So spend the extra money, get the good stuff, because in my experience, when I'm working on the whole car, when I start out on the hood, I have lots of energy, I'm feeling really ambitious, and if the compound or polish I'm using, if it wipes off hard, it's not the end of the world. However, as I work my way around the car, and as I get tired, as I get fatigued, I don't have as much energy. So I like to use compounds and polishes that are really easy to wipe off. So you pay a little bit more for something like that, but it truly pays off in the end. So I have my product on the pad. Doesn't have to be a certain fancy way. Just squirt some on there. And with this tool, being a forced rotation machine, I can actually work a much larger area. And it looks like my pad is not perfectly flat, or excuse me, not perfectly centered. And again, that's really important. So take your time, make sure it's on there the right way. I'm going to spread it out on a lower speed, and then I'm going to crank my speed up to speed 5. And with this being a forced rotation tool, I can do the entire half the hood in one area. Now I'm applying about 15 pounds of pressure, and I'm moving at a medium arm speed, and I'm doing overlapping passes. So with this hood, it's not a perfect square, so in some areas, I'm just going up and down. Other areas, I'm going up and down and side to side. If you move your arms too fast, you're not going to be effective at removing the rest of the paint defects. So keep that in mind as you're using a tool like this. Now, here's another tip. Always work on the horizontal panels first, and the reason why is because, as you see, I'm leaning over this paint, okay? If I did the fender first, it wouldn't make sense to do the hood second because then I would be leaning against the fender I just polished. So This polish has a long working time. It's really easy to wipe off. And I'll pull the tape line back in a moment, and you'll see the dramatic before and after difference. So I've compounded and I've polished the hood. I just finished wiping off the polish. The paint looks great. The next step is to remove the tape line. You can see the before and after difference, and then I'm going to apply a ceramic coating to the hood after I've polished the other section. And when you're removing tape, take your time and pull at an angle. In the past, working on custom paint jobs, I've actually had the tape take off the paint if you don't remove it the right way. So take your time. Now I'm going to show you the before and after using my swirl finder light. On the left side, it's a swirled out mess. On the right side is perfect clarity restored. The next step is I'm going to compound and polish the left side of the hood, make everything uniform, and then apply ceramic coating. Stay tuned for the next segment.